When people hear data, it usually sounds abstract. Numbers, packets, logs, things that usually don't mean too much on their own. But in reality, data is constantly being collected around us. Phones, sensors, networks, entire cities. The interesting part isn't that the data exists, it's what we're able to do with it. That idea is what drew me towards the Internetworks thread. Internetworks focuses on how data moves through a system and becomes something useful. It starts with collection. Devices gather raw inputs from the world. Then, that data has to be structured, stored, and shared across systems that might be spread across different locations or even different countries. Once it's there, it still isn't helpful yet. It needs to be organized, filtered, and sometimes combined with other data, and then presented in a way that people or systems can actually use it. What I like about this thread is that it looks at the full picture, not just one piece of the pipeline, but how everything connects: devices, networks, storage, and users. It's really about making sure the right information gets to the right place in a form that can actually be understood. This actually isn't one of my main threads, which made it an interesting choice for this project. Most of the work I usually do focuses on building systems: hardware, embedded devices, software, you name it. I spend a lot of time focusing on making systems work reliably. This thread forced me to think beyond that. Instead of whether or not the system worked, I actually had to think about whether or not the system I was creating actually provided something useful to the people that were going to be using it. It totally changed how I look at my projects. A working system isn't the end goal. The goal is whether the information coming out of the system can actually be used to make decisions or understand a problem better. You can see this idea everywhere when you start looking for it. In large-scale systems like supply chains, companies are constantly tracking goods as they move across the world. There are sensors, scanners, and databases all feeding into a shared system. The challenge isn't that the data is being collected, it's keeping it organized and accessible so that way companies know where things are, what's delayed, and what needs attention. In healthcare, patient data is spread across devices, hospitals, and systems. That information has to be accurate, up-to-date, and available when it's needed. Doctors rely on the flow of information to make decisions quickly. A small delay or inconsistencies can have real consequences. Smart cities are another example. Traffic systems, environmental sensors, and public infrastructure are all generating data at the same time. That data gets combined and used to adjust traffic flows, monitor air quality, or respond to changing conditions in real time. Even something as simple as the apps we use on our phones rely on these principles. When you open a map, check the weather, or refresh a dashboard, you're seeing the results of systems that are collecting, processing, and delivering information from multiple sources almost instantly. All of these systems depend on the same core idea: data that's valuable only when it's organized, structured, and delivered in a way that makes sense. The project I built for this challenge fits into the same space. It's a small-scale example, but it follows the same pattern: data being collected at different points, shared across a network, and brought together into something usable. What mattered to me wasn't that the devices could communicate, but that the system as a whole could represent and present information in a meaningful way. There are a lot of threads that overlap with some of these ideas. Some focus on how data is transmitted, others focus on how it's processed, and some how the systems are built and scaled. Internetworks stands out because it focuses on how these pieces come together, especially when data is spread out across different locations or systems. Working on this completely changed how I think about engineering projects in general. It's easy to build a project that works. It's harder, and more important, to build a project that actually provides something useful to the people that are using it. At the end of the day, the systems that we build are here to help people understand something that they couldn't understand without our projects. And that is what makes this thread interesting to me.